What's the first meal? Welcome back. Welcome back.
December 31st, 2012, minutes from the Turkish border, on his way out, Schrier's cab gets cut off.
At first I was like, whoa, I smiled because I thought we averted an accident, and that's when they jumped out, with the AKs. The guy was all in black. I looked at him, he looked at me, and then he pulled the hat over my eyes and he pushed my head down, put the gun to my head.
And in your head, what's happening in that moment?
I was, all right, I was like, all right, my life just changed, just been kidnapped.
He'd been snatched by men from the feared Jabhat al-Nusra, an al-Qaeda affiliate in Syria. It's just the way he is that Matt doesn't get emotional about all that was about to happen, but it was awful. Taken for interrogation to, of all places, the Aleppo Pediatric Hospital. So he knows that it was nearly a month after being grabbed when he's shoved into another room, comes face to face with another stricken-looking hostage. Another American.
And then I looked at him and I was like, Jesus Christ. And that's when it rang, and it was like the worst moment of my life, because I was like, this guy is an American, he's been here for a long time. And the fact that they just let me see him means that I am not going anywhere.
The Electrical Institute, northeast of Aleppo. Here, Matt and Theo are practically starved, given contaminated water, beaten, tasered. And here, they have disturbing encounters with 3 masked strangers. It starts January 31st, 2013, the date imprinted on Matt's mind. He's taken alone to a small room.
As soon as I sat down, somebody in very good English said, how are you? And I was just like, I miss my family. They gave me a piece of paper and they were like, we want all your passwords, all your codes, we want your social security number, we want, I filled up the piece of paper with, all the people in the country, blah, 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 everything so they can rob me. They were very, 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 very polite. The one that was doing the computers was pudgy, we called him Chubs. There was another one with droopy eyes and some red in his beard. And the leader, who seemed to be the leader, was very easy to find because he had these big, thick rimmed glasses. And he spoke Arabic.
The men have guns, sometimes 2 each, grenades, and a laptop. They make Matt log into his accounts. Theo, too, only after his session, he said he recognized something in their voices.
Theo knew where they were from. Theo grew up in Vermont, right on the border. And he knew, as soon as he came back, he's like, they're Canadians. So I was just like, yeah, right, you don't know what you're talking about. He's like, no, they're Canadians. He's like, I know they're Canadians. And he was right.
It would be nearly a year before Matt says he got confirmation they were Canadians, and before he learned what they were after. But hardly benign, gentle souls. March 2013, 3 months into his captivity, he saw one of the Canadians again, Chubbs. Matt, forced to wear an orange jumpsuit and record a video under threat of being electrocuted. It was Chubbs pushing him to confess to being a CIA agent.
I was like, no. I don't want my mother to see me like this.
Curiously, that video never aired anywhere, and Matt was determined to save himself. Months later, in the summer, he and Theo made a new plan to get out. It was summer, Ramadan. July 29th, they wait until dawn when the captors were praying or sleeping. Matt would get out the window first.
Once that thing snapped, we get out or we get tortured or killed. So it snapped, and I was like, all right, you ready? So he boosted me up. I went Superman style, both arms got right out, sucked in my stomach, and then I got stuck around the waist because I had my pants on. So I reached in and I unbuttoned my pants. As soon as I unbuttoned my pants, I just slid out.
Then Theo's turn. Matt tries to pull him out, but he gets stuck.
I got my foot against the wall and pulling it. The window is above me, it's open, the lights are on, they're in there. So if they come over, I'm dead. It's not America, they're not gonna tell me to freeze, I'm dead. And I was just like, you're not fitting. And by then it felt like, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. And he said, come back. And I was like, I can't come back. And I just sat there waiting for him to say, and he said, all right, go. And as soon as he said that, I was out.
Theo Padnos is left behind. He stays a hostage for another year.
And that was it. 7 months after being captured, Matt Schrier had finally found the person who would help him get home, so he could start to figure out a way to get Theo out and start to process everything that had happened to him. But it's not always easy coming home, and life got a lot harder when Matt started to piece together exactly what it is those apparent Canadians he'd encountered had been up to all this time. Remember the men who took his banking details and his passwords? Well, they'd been busy.
After escaping from the grip of al-Qaeda, back at home in New York, Matt Schrier has a lot to wrestle with.
So you sort of think your nightmare's over, but it's not, right?
Right. Oh, see, there you go, more.
He spends months sifting through emails he'd missed as a hostage. In hundreds of messages, there are dozens of invoices. Purchases made online with his money from his accounts during the early months of 2013, exactly the time he was being held.
I think they took $16,000 plus $1,000 from my business account. They would have gotten $25,000 altogether.
He found records of nearly 100 purchases all told. Gradually, Matt traces where all that stuff was going, mostly to addresses in Turkey, places close to the border with Syria. One receipt showed money moving through Indonesia. Then came a few that puzzled him. Shipping orders for Canada, one for an address in Laval, although in the end, nothing was sent there. Then another order for February 13, 2013, the same week Matt was being interrogated by those supposed Canadians. Hundreds of dollars worth of camera equipment ordered, addressed to a Montreal apartment, but it was canceled. Yet another receipt, days later, for 2 tablets that were delivered to that same apartment in privileged Westmount. There is a name on the receipt, but we're not showing it or revealing his identity, because it really isn't clear what this man's connection is to the kidnapping or the Canadian captors. Matt Schrier gave all this information to the FBI and the RCMP, but senses they didn't do much about it. Neither agency would talk with us. So we went looking for the man from Westmount and found him, a young French-Canadian convert with no criminal record. Off camera, we asked repeatedly if he'd do an interview and explain, was this shipment to him a mistake, or is he in any way connected with those who held Matt Schrier? He refused to be interviewed or even look at the receipts. So, one last chance to try to get answers.
I'm Adrian from the CBC. You know I have to ask you about this. If this is a mistake, let us know, because on the face of it, it just looks like
really
al-Qaeda guys sent you tablets.
I'm really sorry. I'm sorry.
Sorry for what?
I don't want to do this.
Can you explain this though? Because it just doesn't look good. Look, this is 2 tablets sent to you on Matt Schrier's account.
No, please. I'm really sorry.
Do you know Matt?
I'm sorry?
Do you know Matt Schrier?
I don't want to answer your question.
I know you don't want to interview, but these are questions that kind of have to get answered.
I'm sorry.
You know he was held for months and tortured.
I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry.
Do you have any thoughts for him?
I don't want to comment.
I know you don't,
I'm sorry.
but he wants answers and lots of people do.
I'm sorry.
So that's it? Nothing?
No explanation, but we've learned he's been questioned by the RCMP, has had his passport and some electronics seized. Why? Police won't say. And the supposed Canadians who held Matt, who and where are they? Again, police won't talk. This all swirls in Matt Schrier's head.
How do you think you're doing?
I'm doing great, except for this. This is what bothers me the most. When I'm talking to my girlfriend and I'm complaining about things, I never ever talk about what happened in Syria. It's behind me. This stuff is not.
He needs answers. Who held him? Who defrauded him? What is happening with the investigation? What are his thoughts for Canada now?
I would like the Canadian authorities to prove that they are not on the leash of the FBI. Go do something.
Do something. This is a man who says he saved his own life, feels like he's conducting his own investigation, and he wants to know, when it comes to those Canadians, who will hold them accountable.
I was like a homeless journalist traveling around. I have SIM cards from like 25 different countries here. I was going to follow some refugees back into Syria, and I was going to write about the adverse conditions in the camps. And I thought, I'll write a lovely piece for the New Republic, and my journalism career will prosper. And then without really thinking about it, I stood up and walked down and went to meet the people who kidnapped me at the hotel. They brought me into a room like this. 3 of them sat down. They said, why don't you do an interview with this guy here? One guy kicked me really hard in the face. And then they're all stamping on me and kicking on me. Put on the handcuffs. They cuffed me behind my back like this. And they said, we're our prisoner now. Out there is the sun. This is the last time you'll see the sun. Do you understand? I said, yes. And then they ordered takeaway chicken and brought it in and had lunch. They brought me down to the room of death. The 2 kids are on either side of me. One of them whispered, goes, we kill you. We kill you now. Allahu Akbar! This place was clearly under attack, and there'd be people down the hall being tortured. I was 200 days in this cell. I had to sleep diagonally like this. The guards, I was dependent on them for the air that I breathed. They're just young men. There's tons of food and guns and people to torture. I mean, most of them are having fun. There's a lot of fun in the jihad. It's very underrated in the West. I was interested in the grievances. It was balm for hurt minds. It soothed the poison out of them. It calmed them down. You know, and you try to remind yourself, I'm still alive, I'm still alive. I rescued something from the disaster of 2 years, and it was this story.